Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth, for sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
All right, here we go. We're joined now on the phone by one Mike J. Schaefer of Husker 247. Schaefer, good morning. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Other than, what felt like the end of the Vikings season last night, even though it wasn't. Now I got to do that all over again on Monday for the right to potentially do it all over again in 2 weeks. But other than that, pretty good weekend for the Schaefer. So.
Yeah, well, okay, let's do the Vikings first then. I figured you would be in different spirits than you were a week ago. Did it really crush every piece of spirit that you had watching what you had to watch unfold last night?
It's hard because if you want to spin this like, okay, everyone just had a terrible game. Sam Darnold had a terrible game. Justin Jefferson was uncharacteristically bad. Kevin O'Connell didn't have a great plan against pressure. The offensive line was bad. You can easily spin it like that. And defensively, they gave the offense every opportunity to score points in the first half. And they just didn't take advantage of it. And they did it early in the second half. So you could basically be like, all right, the Vikings had a bad game mostly as a team. And that's not emblematic of who they are. If you got to go through the Lions at some point if you're going to go to the Super Bowl, it felt like the gap is a lot wider than I certainly would have thought based on how last night played out. Every game is going to be different. If they play them again, it would play out in an entirely different way. But it definitely shook confidence that I had because I thought this was a legitimate team. And maybe they still are, but now I'm way more nervous about a game against the Rams than I have any reason.
Now you have to continue to answer very pointed questions about Sam Darnold and his lack of ability to potentially win a playoff game against a good team. What happened to him last night?
Well, he looked tight. His throws were high. He was also under siege. The interior of the offensive line was bad. Detroit did a great job blitzing up the middle of the and everything else. And, Darnold he missed throws. And then even a bad throw to Jefferson that should have been a touchdown, it just was not Minnesota's night. I don't think that's who Sam Darnold's been in 2024, if that's what the narrative will be, and he's going to have to play a good playoff game to kind of show otherwise. And then if you get another chance against Detroit, he's got to look more like the guy who ripped up the Packers or the Seahawks a couple weeks before in critical situations to prove to people again that it's not the same old Sam Darnold. It's everything's narrative driven, right? So it's going to be reactionary, and the reaction right now is he's no good anymore. I don't think that's true.
Schaefer, has Lil Hudsker been tested for performance enhancing drugs yet?
No, we never got tested for performance enhancing drugs before the event. There's been nothing after the event. We've never even heard from any people disputing the results. There was some that wondered if perhaps you called it in favor of Hudson because of personal connection that you ate breakfast with him on January 1st of the new year.
Yeah.
I feel like it was an incredibly close finish, but maybe Hudson tapped the banner just before contestant number 6 would have started her crawl.
According to the video that I have and that everyone else has seen, I think I got it right. At the same time, I will admit that I was completely guessing in the moment.
Yeah, well, look, it was dramatic. It was exciting. It's everything a baby race should be. And we're not going to apologize for wins in baby races. Plus, Hudson announced his retirement. He's focused on walking and spending time with stuffed animals.
Wow. People were wondering, Schaefer, was there like an age limit, or was there a frame that Lil Hudsker had to fit in to be eligible for the competition?
Basically, your child just needed to be crawling and could not be walking. And Hudson is not walking, and so the joke was that he would have to take his first steps on Pinnacle Bank Arena's floor when he had the chance to win this crawling contest. But I think he was probably the oldest in the contest. There was a lot of 9-month-old babies. He's a 10. But he's not walking quite yet. He was able to meet the parameters.
And then final question, I guess, on this. What did he really pause and sit down on his butt 3 feet before the finish line for dramatic effect? Is this the equivalent of almost dropping the ball before you get to the end zone? Like what happened there in the last few feet?
Yeah, it really felt like he wanted to renegotiate some things in his life. Like he wants a later bedtime, he wants an extra snack, and he just kind of sat down and stared at me for a little bit. I did what my game plan was, and there was no, as far as I know, this wasn't against the rules. It just seems like maybe a little cheap. But before the race, Hudson likes to play around with a hat when I'm wearing a hat. Put the hat on himself or, whatever, waving around. So we were playing with the hat, and so he's crawling, and he's getting close, and it's like, okay,
Schaefer.
stop, and I'm waving it around, and he finally spots the hat and gets them restarted. So I used the hat as like an inducement. I did the same thing with my cell phone. If you would have just put the cell phone by itself on the other end of the court, he would have been even faster with no pause. So that would have been more exciting for him than anything else, because really when he thinks of his dad, he just sees a person on a cell phone. So the cell phone is more valuable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know what it is, but like my daughter is infinitely more interested in me when I use my laptop and when I pull out my cell phone.
Yeah. No, I think it says too much in not a positive way about me, that Hudson is definitely most excited about himself. Granted, he loves looking at himself and videos of himself. He's incredibly vain. So there's that.
And now he's got a video for a long time from
he was watching it last night and just giggling. It's hard to know if he even knew what was going on, but he was in it, so that's all he cared about.
Well, congratulations. It was a well-run race, and there's no questions about its viability and how legal it was. So that's good.
Hey, everybody won the prize. It all worked out in the end. It's a really cool thing from the Nest 529 people, and so we're incredibly appreciative, because college will be $1 bajillion by the time Hudson.
Next question: Do you like players out of the transfer portal who, in each of their last 3 seasons, have triple-digit tackle numbers?
I generally am in favor of production relative to potential when it comes to the transfer portal. So when it comes to Marquise, Watson, Trent, quite excited about that. I mean, you had a guy who's just going to step in, and it feels like a lot of replacement of John Bullock, even though I don't think they're the same type of player, and I don't know if anyone else would agree with that, but it's just, you're going to go get a productive, steady veteran, and that makes me feel a lot better about Nebraska's second level. And I already felt pretty good, but the nice thing is he's going to come in one season, and it helps set up guys like Christian Jones and Dawson Merritt, whatever else you're going to have going on at that linebacker room. He's not going to take away too much future opportunity. It's a nice bridge player to me. So I think that one's kind of a sneaky big addition.
Me too.
For Nebraska's portal effort here so far, because as excited as you want to be about Williams, Winery, and some other players, a guy who's gone out and just produced like this, even though it's not at the Big Ten level, it just makes me think he's going to be a steady player for Nebraska next season.
How about Jameer Khan too? It's not as big as the Marquez Watson Trent edition, but another body in the defensive backfield where Nebraska definitely needs some. When you get a guy with some experience back there too, the transfer from Southern Illinois.
Yeah, it adds to what's going to be a really intriguing cornerback battle, right? Like the spring battle at corner opposite of Sierra Wright is going to be kind of loaded. You're going to have a lot of different people vying for playing time. You'll get Fly Hill back. You'll have some of those young corners. Donovan Jones announced himself in the bowl game. You're going to add Khan to that. They've had other defensive backs in, but I'm wondering if Khan sort of, is the corner that you're looking at here, in addition to Andrew Marshall, who's going to be involved in this whole thing. So it's a great depth addition, and yet another, Jamar Mosey is really earning his keep. He's out there recruiting today on the road for the first time. The visit period has started. So just kind of exciting how quickly one person's impact has been on Nebraska's roster since July, really. And it's an addition that he played well for the Salukis. Again, I don't think it's a starter, but it's a guy that immediately gives you depth and is going to be fighting along with Andrew Marshall and everyone else at those cornerback spots.
All right, Schaefer, what do you think about Nebraska ball? What's your level of excitement? Because I was explaining earlier, it feels like it's come a little bit early now this year, where people are on the Nebraska ball train. You're always on it. How do you feel about where they're at right now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that much early because it's right around the same week where they would have beat Purdue last year, and then go play Iowa right after you win one of these games, and we'll find out if they're able to adjust. I think my main theory on this team, and I said this when we were talking on Saturday, and I don't know where you arrive on it, but I think compared to last year's team, they're more capable of winning and playing in different types of games. The game flow doesn't have to go the same way for them. They can play and win ugly in a way that maybe last year's team was less capable of doing. And we saw that on Saturday. I like that they can throw different lineups at people. I like that when Connor Essegian is not helping on the offensive end, that he's leading your plus minus. I think he was a plus 20 on Saturday when he was in. Like, that's pretty remarkable for a guy who's 0 of 6 from the floor. So I just think this team has some different things going for it that'll allow it to survive what's going to be a brutal Big Ten and to be an effective, 7 to 10 seed in the NCAA tournament. I don't think they're a top 5 seed team, but I do think that they're an effective basketball team and will be a tough out for both the Big Ten tournament and March. We'll see how it goes, though. I mean, they have to be able to ride the roller coaster. If they can go get a win at Iowa, that's going to make life a lot easier if you can steal a couple road games in addition to the tough place to play in Pinnacle Bank Arena.
All right, Schaefer. A lot of rock fights left at Pinnacle Bank Arena this year, and we know you'll be there for all of them. We'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 247, who I have now seen. This will be my first day not seeing Mike Schaefer in the flesh since Thursday, and then I saw him on Wednesday, and then wasn't he here on Monday of last week, or what was he here on?
Oh wow, time really a blur.
He filled in a day last week, and then
I thought it was Thursday.
And then I went to breakfast with him on Wednesday, and little Husker, little pre-baby race interview there, and then I saw him each of the days this weekend. So I'll miss my dear friend Mike.
It's amazing that you interview each and every baby race contestant just in case they have an endearing story to the public.
Yeah, I went out to breakfast with all of them.
Wow.